Hello, everyone. It's great to join you virtually from the traditional unceded territories of the Coast Salish people, specifically the Coquitlam, Katzie, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. I bring greetings from Premier John Horgan and Agriculture, Food and Fisheries Minister Lana Popham. My name is Finn Donnelly. I'm the MLA for Coquitlam-Burke Mountain and the Parliamentary Secretary for Fisheries and Aquaculture. My Squamish Nation name is Iem Yoyos, which means orca or strong swimmer in the animal world. The elders gave me that name for my work on salmon, watersheds, and ocean conservation, which I wear proudly. I appreciate the opportunity to share with you what I'm working on as Parliamentary Secretary, and I hope you have a productive conference. I'm looking forward to sharing with you some of the coastal economic development opportunities that exist for Indigenous communities and seafood companies. Almost a year ago, I started in my new role, supporting Minister Popham as Parliamentary Secretary to Fisheries and Aquaculture. This was a perfect fit for me, transitioning from federal to provincial politics, as I've had a lifelong passion for fisheries, watersheds, and ocean conservation. Seafood and fisheries have always been an important part of the ministry, but now they have a parliamentary secretary dedicated to fisheries and aquaculture, which has given our government a chance to renew and strengthen this focus. A key role in my mandate given to me by Premier John Horgan is to work closely with Indigenous and coastal communities and the federal government in supporting the conservation and recovery of wild salmon in BC. There are many factors involved in declining wild salmon populations in BC. Since 2017, the Premier and our government have taken actions to protect and restore these populations. Currently, we are developing a wild salmon strategy, a recovery strategy, and an action plan, and are committed to working with Indigenous nations and the federal government to address the threats that face wild salmon in all regions where salmon live. We also engaged in a historic government-to-government process with First Nations in the Broughton Archipelago that led to a landmark agreement supported by industry and workers. The agreement led to companies closing salmon farms that were impacting wild salmon migration routes. And we established a First Nations-led guardian and scientific monitoring plan for current salmon farm operations there. Our government has committed to addressing the concerns of First Nations and all British Columbians when it comes to salmon farming. In 2018, we announced a new salmon aquaculture policy, and this policy makes it clear that effective June 22, no new tenures along BC's coast will be approved unless the fish farm operator has negotiated agreements with the First Nations in whose territory they operate, or propose to operate, and the operator has to also satisfy DFO that the farm will not adversely impact wild salmon. This approach provides clarity to industry and outlines our expectations moving forward for a sustainable industry, one that protects wild salmon, embraces reconciliation, and provides good jobs for local communities. In 2019, with the federal government, we jointly established the BC Salmon Restoration and Innovation Fund. BC SRIF is a 5-year, $143 million contribution program to help BC salmon populations recover in waters all over the province. To date, 60 projects have begun, and over 20 more are in various stages of negotiations. We have committed to doubling the original investment in BC SRIF, along with the federal government. The fund supports innovation, infrastructure, and science partnerships that will help protect and restore priority wild salmon and other salmon-related fisheries, including steelhead. Project partners include the Osoyoos Indian Band, supporting post-mudslide restoration and effectiveness monitoring for the Inkani Creek and its floodplain. This important restoration work will improve the survivability of Okanagan steelhead, rainbow trout, and Chinook salmon. It will also apply an innovative combination of traditional knowledge and science towards sustainable fisheries co-management. And the Adams Lake Indian Band are supporting the restoration of the Upper Adams early run of sockeye, summer run of sockeye, to a sustainable level and improving opportunities for sustainable use. All of the BC Shrift projects are diverse in location, scale, and proponents, but all contribute to protecting and restoring wild fisheries and creating a more sustainable future for local communities and workers. We're going to keep working to protect both wild fisheries and Indigenous nations, including many of you who depend on healthy, productive watersheds and ocean. I know Minister Popham would like me to pass along some of the opportunities in our province's agriculture and food sector. Our government believes food security is vital to our economy. We are working hard to ensure that we have a safe and resilient local food system now and for generations to come. The Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Fisheries encourages farming through Grow BC, which works to get more farmland in production, Feed BC, which is increasing BC grown and processed foods and meals served in our hospitals and post-secondary institutions, and Buy BC, which makes it easier for consumers to identify products with a Buy BC label so British Columbians can enjoy healthy and local food while also supporting our communities and economy. Our BC Food Hub network is also creating more demand for ingredients from local farmers and helping increase the volume of food grown and produced locally. Food hubs provide small and medium-sized businesses with shared food processing and innovation space, equipment, and business support services. There are 12 food hubs in communities around the province. These hubs are providing good jobs and economic opportunities for many businesses. For example, the Dock Plus in Port Alberni is a unique model that is meeting local needs and opportunities, specifically towards supporting growth and encouraging development of the seafood and aquaculture sector, as well as other food processing opportunities unique to the region, such as forage foods. The people in this facility are making some delicious products. The Port Alberni Food Hub is creating good local jobs for Indigenous peoples and others who are underrepresented in the workforce. If you live in the Alberni Valley, or if you're planning to visit, I invite you to check it out. Before I wrap up, I want to update you on the ministry's Indigenous Agriculture Development Program. It's been receiving positive feedback from clients since it first launched in 2018. The program supports Indigenous governments, communities, organizations, and entrepreneurs interested in identifying and developing opportunities in the agriculture and food sector. The projects in this program have economic development goals as well as goals related to supporting food security and Indigenous food systems. Farming, ranching, and food processing businesses in rural and urban areas have received support to date. 4-H BC has also received funding for specialized programs focused on urban and Indigenous youth. I invite you to check out the ministry website for further information. You'll find information on the Indigenous Agriculture Development Program. And you'll also find information on other programs supporting Indigenous food companies, including innovation, traceability, food security, and safety, and business planning. I'm very proud of our government's Indigenous Advisory Council on Agriculture and Food. This group is the first of its kind in Canada, working to advance reconciliation and respect for Indigenous rights, as well as building strong Indigenous economies with an eye to creating a more inclusive and resilient food system. So in closing, hopefully the information I have shared with you today has provided you with some ideas on how you can take part in the growing and exciting agriculture, food, and fisheries sector in our province. Thanks again for the invitation to participate in your conference. I wish you all the best. Haichka Osia.
Kayla Kaslaf Finn. thank you so much for participating this morning, and congratulations on your Hall of Fame induction into the Fraser River. Appreciate you sharing some of your insight from the government with us. So we are now scheduled for a 45-minute lunch break where I will stand for the first time in 3 hours, which is sponsored by Construction Labor Relations Association of BC. Again, over the break, please take a moment to visit our sponsors in the sponsor hall and virtual trade show and schedule a virtual meetup with your fellow delegates. We're looking forward to greeting you back at 1 p.m. Pacific time for Panel 3, Nation Building. Gaila Kesla, and have a good lunch.